welcome to the SETEDUGroup podcast. This is podcast 1, and there'll be many more of these to follow. In these podcasts, we'll be talking about things out and about around Phuket in Thailand. That's where our company's based at the minute. And in this first episode, we're going to talk about something that really gets on my nerves. Something that is unbelievably silly, unbelievably dangerous, and it needs to be seen to be believed. You've guessed it, it's the traffic in Phuket. For those of you who have been here before, you'll have probably experienced this nightmarish situation. I often say, when you get in the car, I think you've maybe got about a 50-50 chance of getting rammed up the back by either a motorbike, a large truck, or some other vehicle on the road. If you make it from to your destination in one piece or alive, I think you're doing quite well. So anyway, as I said, this traffic is a nightmare, especially at rush hour. So what is rush hour? Rush hour is the time, usually just after breakfast, when the majority of people who work in office jobs are travelling to work. So rush hour is usually in Phuket about between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And it's pretty much the same in most major cities when you have a huge rush of people trying to get to their place of work. Now, this leads to major congestion problems everywhere in Phuket. Congestion is a synonym of traffic jam. It's quite a useful word to use. And I think as each year goes past, or each day goes past, this traffic problem in Phuket just seems to get worse and worse. It's an ongoing problem with no end in sight. End in sight? What does this mean? It means there's no solution coming soon. I think round coffee tables and restaurant tables, one of the most talked about issues on this island are the serious traffic problems. And people just don't see a solution. The local government don't seem to be doing a lot about it. There's been talk and chattering for many years about a high-speed train. Also, people have talked about the need to build more roads, but in my experience and things I've read in various articles, building roads does not solve traffic problems. It's a short-sighted attempt to solve a major problem. So, as I said, there's no end in sight to these traffic problems in Phuket, so the future doesn't look too bright. If any of you know the island in Phuket, there's a shopping mecca in Phuket called Central Festival, and at the minute they're doing a underpass. They're building an underpass there. It's a joint venture between an Italian and a Thai building team. I'm not too sure what the future holds for that, but we'll wait and see. Anyway, the traffic there is just horrible at the moment. And the other day, I must have spent about 10 or 15 minutes in a traffic jam, just waiting for the lights to change. It's madness, really. So earlier on in the week, I asked a tourist what he thought of the traffic in Phuket, because Phuket's economy is driven by tourism. And here's what the tourist said. I'll quote, "It's okay if you've got a motorbike, but the roads are quite dangerous, so I usually get a taxi or a tuk-tuk, which are everywhere and quite convenient. The traffic is bad though, and it can take a long time to get from A to B." Unquote. Let's think about that last phrase there. To get from A to B. This is an idiom, but what does it mean? To get from A to B means to get from a place you start your journey from to the place you finish your journey. So it could be from your home to your place of work, or it could be from your place of work to another place of business. So it's one complete journey. It means to get from A to B. So anyway, as I said, traffic is a serious issue on this island, and the future doesn't look too bright. There's a severe lack of an effective public transport system. There are, as we said, tuk-tuks and taxis, but they're usually overpriced, and to be honest, they're not the most at most times they're not the most honest of ways to travel to and from work. Many taxis don't use meters, and they're overcharging people and ripping them off. What's that mean, ripping someone off? To rip off. It means to overcharge. To charge someone more money for a service than it's actually worth. To rip off. Now, Phuket being a tourist island, it's dominated by two main seasons. You have low season and high season. And I think that the traffic problem could be alleviated somewhat, or solved somewhat, if tourists could take a bus instead of using taxis or minivans or tuk-tuks. And this would take a large amount of pressure off the infrastructure, the road infrastructure on the island. But I can't see this happening. The tuk-tuks and taxi drivers, they organise themselves into powerful groups. I call them a union. I don't think they're that organised, but they have a lot of power, and many attempts to upgrade public transport systems on the island have been blocked by these particular interests. So, sure, I don't know, the traffic is only going to get worse. I can't see it changing. So, okay, that's the end of the first SETEDUGroup podcast. I hope it was of some help to you. And keep checking the SETEDUGroup blog for more of these, and we'll speak to you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.